All right. Cool. So it looks like I'm officially streaming now. Huzzah. So yeah, I know this one is kind of dropping out of the blue here, but I got inspired and I haven't done a live chat in many, many months here. So wanted to basically come in here and number one, share with you guys some holiday gift ideas for the flow artist in your life, as well as go ahead and do some Q&A as well. It is 10 o'clock at night my time, and I think I'm going to be staying on until about 11 p.m. So I didn't announce this one, it kind of just happened. So we will see if anybody is out there watching in YouTube land and has stuff that they are interested in asking me about or interested in picking up from my my holiday gift ideas here. So yeah, while I get started up and giving you guys all of these gift ideas that I've been brainstorming and everything, if you guys want to start sending me your questions via the live chat and everything, I will be getting to those just as soon as I finish up with this first section here. So holidays coming up and everything, and I know this is probably coming like maybe a day or two late, but it still seems like it's possible to order a bunch of this stuff and get it in time for Christmas Day. So I kind of wanted to throw some ideas out there to people of great gifts that you can give to the flow artists in your life, and I've kind of divided them up into three categories. Number one is under $20, number two is under $50, and number three is under $100, because we, of course, as flow artists, tend not to have the most money to throw at frivolous things such as the holidays or what have you. So I thought I would just keep it to stuff that seemed to me would be affordable for people in our world. So we're going to start off with gift ideas in the under $20 range, which it admittedly is a little bit of a stretch here, but bear with me. And the first gift idea here is actually to purchase the Flow Arts Institute Fire Safety Certification course for someone in your world who is into flow arts and fire spinning. The information in it is really fantastic, and when I had to go through the certification course, I will say that I learned so much in the process of it, and it's now at the point here in DC where fire and EMS are aware of it, and when people are applying for permits to spin fire and everything, this is one of the things that they're starting to ask for. It's also something that they ask for in New York City if you want to be able to spin fire on stage and everything. So it's really, really good information, and it's stuff that, frankly, we all really should know. And it's becoming something that seems like it's more of a de facto kind of safety certification in our world. And I think it only costs like 15 bucks, so why not? You know, you can make the flow artists in your life that much safer, and they learn a bunch in the process too. So yeah, Flow Arts Institute Fire Safety Certification course, number one. Number two is one of my favorite smartphone apps, which is Luminancer, the program that basically takes video and adds trails to it, right? Which, you know, it's a nice lo-fi way of getting video that has trails in it, which of course I am a huge fan of. And the program itself only costs like $2, and you can easily send that to somebody via the iTunes store. Currently the program is only available on iOS, but I have heard tell that the Android version is coming very, very soon. So be on the lookout for that, and in the meantime, if the flow artist in your life has iOS, Luminancer might be something that they really appreciate. The final gift idea in the under $20 category is a smartphone charger. You can get these for like 10 or 15 bucks, and I can't count the number of times when I have been off at a festival and having one of these has just like totally saved my life, because you know, I hadn't had a chance to find a wall outlet in days, and I had a whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to video that I've been working on and everything. So these are super helpful. So that brings us to our second category. And again, if you're just joining me, these are holiday gift ideas for the flow artist in your life. Then I'm trying to give stuff that's going to be pretty general, stuff that's going to work for anybody, whether they spin poi or fans or hoops or what have you. So there's going to be no specific recommendations in here for sets of poi or staves or anything like that. There are a lot of good options out there, but overall I wanted to kind of give as general of advice as possible. And after I'm done going through all these suggestions and everything, I'll do some Q&A. So if you guys have questions, please drop them in the chat. So moving on to the under $50 category. So I'm gonna blow you guys' mind for a second here. So inside my wallet, I have, in addition to my IDs and everything, a very special thing. You know what this is? This is a pocket tripod. It's about the height and width of a credit card. It's a little thicker than a credit card. But essentially what happens is you can fold this around and drop your smartphone in the little slot made by these little kind of finger things right here. And I cannot count the number of times that this has totally saved my bacon when I've been out and about and I forgot to bring a bigger tripod with me, which, you know, you can get a Gorilla Pod in about the same price range and everything, but this is small and this is sleek and it's wallet sized. You know, you can put this in a billfold. It is a great tool. This actually was a gift that Flowtoys sent to me when they sent me my Capsule 2.0s. And I instantly fell in love with it, and I've used it more times than I can count. It's just super duper handy and lives permanently in my wallet, so no matter when I'm inspired, I can pull it out and be able to shoot video with it and everything. Tripods in general are super helpful, but teeny tiny ones that fit inside your wallet, even better. Cool. And number 2 in this category, oh my goodness, a Flow Arts t-shirt from Modec Designs. I've long loved the prop bags that Modec Designs produces, and the design for this shirt was just like a total home run. And you might have noticed I wear this a lot in my videos. And yeah, I would highly recommend heading over to Modec Designs on Etsy and picking up one of these. You can use my promo code DrexFactor if your order is over $25 to get a discount on it and everything. And there's a lot of other cool t-shirt designs there. Cass keeps sending me amazing t-shirts, and I don't think I've seen a single one that I didn't absolutely love. So good job there, Cass. And you guys should check out Modec. The final kind of option in the under $50 category would be a Capsule 2.0 remote. Now, clearly we've got staves that use the new capsules and poi and all that. And now they're selling these standalone remote controls that are basically another capsule and everything. And of course, one of the great benefits of the Capsules 2.0 is that you can use the grouping function to be able to control multiple capsules at the same time. And these remotes are really, really cool because you know, you can clip it onto your belt and everything. And you know, if you set your poi down and everything, you can use the button to turn them off and on and check on them and everything, and be able to figure out which set of poi is yours. Super duper convenient. Or this is one thing I've been wanting to use these for is like performances. If you've got a friend in the audience who's holding on to one of these, they can switch the modes for you as you spin. And of course, now that the Vision staves and Vision poi are out there and everything, they use the same system, so you can use these remotes to control those too. So, you know, grabbing one of these remotes is probably a good investment if you're in the Flowtoys ecosystem, and I highly recommend. So, moving right along to our under $100 category, and the first option I'm going to show you guys with a bullet is a safety blanket from Mayday ATL. You can find them online, maydaятl.com. Oh, and let me back up just right quick, because if you do go ahead and buy the remote from Flow Toys, you should use my promo code there, which is DrexFactor, replacing the E with a 3. And that will get you a discount in your order. Now, Mayday Atlanta fire blankets, we've all played around with duvetines and everything. And these are better. Why are they better? Number one, duvetines wear down over time, and I think these are made of commando cloth or another similar aramid, and they're super duper durable, number one. And number two, they're machine washable, unlike duvetines. You cannot wash duvetines, or you've got to get them retreated. These you never have to retreat, so you can throw them in the wash, and this one actually desperately needs it, and I will be getting to that this week probably. But you can also get your name embossed on it. And I also just love the fact that they have like these reflective edges on them. One of those big problems that I always have when spinning fire and working with a safety is that sometimes the duvetines can kind of seem to disappear in the dark and everything. And because of the reflective edges of these, they show up clear as day from inside the fire circle. You'll see the light from your flames bouncing off of the edges here. So, yeah, these are amazing. I wish they weren't so expensive so we could get them in more hands. But quite frankly, you know, if you're going to splurge and get the fire dancer in your life to pick up something that is going to be with them a very long time, yes, these fire blankets from Mayday ATL are definitely a great way to go. Next up, so this is another fun toy for use with your smartphone. And I've been using this rather more than I thought I was going to. What this is it's a smartphone stabilizer, a gimbal by Zhiyun. I believe it's, I can't remember. If you do, so Zhiyun is like Z-H-I-Y-U-N. And what this does is it basically allows you to take video with your smartphone where it basically filters out all of the jitters as you're walking around with it and everything, and gives you super clean, smooth footage and everything. I was really amazed to discover that the price on these had dropped below $100 this year, and I went ahead and invested in one, and it has been an absolutely amazing investment. You know, you can also, for example, if you wanted to like video blog or what have you, you can just, you know, set it up so that it's facing back at you and you're talking to it and everything. Or you can flip it around and do really lovely tracking shots running around your friends and everything. They also have tripods on them, so it's like getting two products in one, right? I can be running around shooting my friends, and then I can set it down on the ground and use it as a normal tripod. So really, really, really helpful. This is one of the coolest kind of high-tech things that I have invested in this year. And moving on to the last gift suggestion in the under $100 category. And that is, so I did a review of these headphones several months ago. These are Bluetooth headphones from Conduit Sports. And what's really cool about them is that they are what's called bone conduction headphones. So you notice as I put them on here, they don't actually fit over my ear canals. And the reason is that they're actually vibrating the temporal bones in my skull in order to conduct sound and music down into my inner ear. So it leaves your ears free. So if you're, say, like out spinning fire and everything, and you want to listen to your favorite tunes, you can still hear a safety's instructions as you're listening to music and everything. This is one of like these crazy futuristic Jetsons era technologies that the first time I used them, I was like, what? How does that even work? And of course, they're good for things like running and biking and things like that, things where you want to be able to, you know, hear the outside world as you're doing what have you. And they're actually running a deal for Christmas right now that brings the price of them just under $100. These are super cool. I use them all the time, and now that the price is under $100, I can recommend them to you guys as a holiday gift idea and everything. So, just to recap, I just gave you guys 9 different gift ideas for the flow artist in your life, ranging from under $20 to under $100. And I hope, and I see that one of you guys is Phil Olson asked if I was going to bookmark these after the stream ends. Absolutely. I'm going to stick these in the description of the video so you guys can go link to them and everything. So, yeah, that's a lot. And I'd like to open it up for questions and answers here. I'm going to probably stick on here for the next 30-40 minutes asking whatever questions you guys may have, because it has been so long since I've done a live stream. So now you get to see me when I'm not dealing with a script or anything like that, and I'm just saying what's off the top of my head, and my mind tends to wander a lot. So forgive me in advance if this is a little less directed than my usual videos. So I've got Stefan Linden saying, how do you feel about the Podpoi covers? So I've never actually used them for poi. What I did get a hold of them for was I stuck them on the ends of my LED staves because I wanted them to show up better on video. And I quickly discovered that they just create too much air resistance, and like putting them on when you put the pod ends on the staves as well as the Podpoi covers on the ends, they just take up so much surface area and they are so much heavier that they just become almost impossible to move around very rapidly. And if you go back through some of my old double staff videos where I'm using them, you can definitely tell that like they're getting caught on my arms and everything all the time just because they take up so bloody much room. So for the purposes of double staves, I'm going to say no, but on Podpoi it might be a different story. The thing that I didn't like about them with double staves may actually make them a good fit for Podpoi, which is that you know, they add a bit more resistance. And one of the chief complaints that I hear about Podpoi is that they're not heavy enough. And putting those covers on Podpoi, well, it won't make them that much heavier. It definitely will make them seem heavier. It'll seem like there's more resistance to it and everything. So that is one possible good use for Podpoi covers, yeah? Cool, so please keep sending me questions, guys. Anything related to spinning and the flow arts and all that. Did I have any good gift suggestions? Do you have other gift suggestions? I would love to hear that. What do you think about fire breathing? Do you know any good techniques? Says Jesse Ratfield. Okay, so here is going to be... So I don't fire breathe personally. I have friends that have done it. I've never had a friend that's done it that hasn't gotten themselves sick at one point. I do not ever intend to fire breathe myself simply because there has been something of a unspoken thing going on in the fire breather world that a lot of people have gotten sick, but they don't talk about it publicly. And we don't know what the long-term health effects are of it. I mean, you know, there have been plenty of street performers that have been doing it forever and a day, but, you know, you're dealing with a very small population of people there, so you tend to get really weird skewed results. And I'm going to be really curious to see what the cumulative health effects are for larger numbers of fire breathers in the community and everything. I think it looks super cool, and if people want to do it, if they want to deal with the chemicals being in their body and everything, then sure. They can be grown-ups and do what they want to with their bodies. But I personally don't ever intend to learn how to do it. I've seen, number one, I've seen too many people get sick from it, and number two, if there is like one thing in the fire spinning world that is going to go wrong in a catastrophic fashion, it's going to be fire breathing, either from inhaling bits of fuel that haven't burned up and giving yourself chemical pneumonia. Or the other thing that's really bad that can happen is if you breathe back in too quickly and actually breathe the flames in, you can singe your lungs, and that can lead to some incredibly bad situations. Plus which, you know, if you're not careful about the fuel you use, if you use anything that is flammable at room temperature, you get the fuel all over your face and everything, and it'll go off. Don't do that. Don't use white gas for breathing fire. Use ultra pure lamp oil, up low. So the short answer is I don't know any good techniques because I don't know any techniques at all. But it's dangerous. Know the risks before you get involved. Like at this point, I would put fire breathing about on par with, like, say, playing tackle football in terms of long-term possible health consequences and everything. Which isn't to say don't do it, but like be informed about it and know that the trade-off for doing something that looks really cool is that it's going to have it's probably going to have an impact on your health, and just be aware of that walking into it. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions, guys? Keep them coming. Keep them coming. I am going to be on here for probably another 20-30 minutes here, and I'm dying to know what you guys want to know about. And I know that the timing on this live stream is weird, and I appreciate those of you guys who decided to join me on here and everything. So keep those questions coming. And in the meantime, I'll say hi to all the people who said hi to me first. So Yo Dunnett says, do you sell flow products? And the answer is kind of. I sell structured courses. Like if you go to learn.drexfactor.com, you'll see that there are a bunch of classes that I offer in a variety of different parts of poi spinning. There's an intro course, there's a Beyond the Basics course, there's a course on gunslingers, there's a course on isolations. Those are the products that I sell right now. I used to sell other types of products. I used to sell contact poi, and oh my God, every day that I remember I used to do that, I'm so thankful for the fact that I don't do that anymore, because it took up so much time, and you know, I would fall behind in orders whenever I traveled and everything, so it was just not worth it for me. I have also sold things like t-shirts and pants, but they didn't sell terribly well. They just you know, they didn't really find an audience. So at this point, all I sell are online classes. And of course, I help my friends out who make good products by having affiliate codes with them. You know, my primary set of contact poi right now is made by LanternSmith, and I highly recommend them. LanternSmith makes great contact poi, as well as the LED spin optic poi. I love using Flowtoys' products. Yeah, so I kind of switched over to instead looking at people who were doing a better job than I ever could in making and selling poi, and trying to send people to them, because I think that ultimately makes a stronger community. Because you know, I like being able to teach people, and I like being able to help people on their flow journey and everything. And building poi is just not something that's kind of in my core competency. So being able to help out people for whom that is their passion, making poi, I think that that's a good trade-off. I really do. Daniel Popescu says, I hope I got that right, what's your favorite contact poi leash? So, one second, I've got a couple options I'll show you here. So here are my contact poi. These are the set of contact poi that I got from LanternSmith, and I've been using this. These have been my primary contact poi now for like 3-4 years maybe. I want you to take a look at the tethers. because you will notice something about these tethers, and that's that they're not super frayed, they're not pilled, and they haven't shortened or changed length at all. And I love that about these tethers. These are made with smithy rope. Um, Smithy rope is my favorite rope tether. LanternSmith makes it, and they actually sell it by the roll and everything. It's super duper durable, and it doesn't shorten. That was the biggest thing that I was looking for, and they delivered on that one. I think it's a special blend, and I don't know where they get it from, but yeah, smithy rope is one great option. And also, I am testing out a new set of poi for the past few weeks and everything, and these look pretty close to Flowfests, and that's because, for the most part, they are. I basically assembled these out of parts that I had laying around and everything. So the emoji heads on these are actually heads that are not just clear, they have colors to them and everything, so that they're still engaging during daylight hours and everything. And I stuck a set of ultra knobs on these because I needed some LED handles, and these seemed like the best fit for the job and everything. So I've been playing around with these, and I really enjoy these. The fatty flow cord is really awesome. It's a lot. It's very substantial, and I've been finding that it's a great fit for playing around with gunslingers and the like. So yeah, smithy rope and fatty flow cord are probably my two favorites right now in terms of leashes for contact poi. Great question, Daniel. Jesse Ratfield says, didn't you sell poi at one point? Yeah, I used to sell contact poi. I don't anymore. I was just telling that story a second ago, that what I'm really passionate about is teaching people. And yeah, making poi was just never anything that I really enjoyed. And I had so many friends that really enjoyed it that it just seemed like it was a smarter move to support my friends who were making poi than it was to try and make poi myself. And so far that's worked out great for me, because I don't make poi, and that makes me really happy. Sketchy says, I've always been curious, how did you first come across poi in the flow arts? The short answer, and Yo Done It also says, thanks and good day from down under. Good day. So Sketchy, the answer to your question, the short answer is Burning Man. So I went to my first Burning Man in 2006, and that was the first time that I saw fire spinning. And right away, I was very, very taken by it. I remember going to a fire jam that happened at Hookah on a Wednesday night, and like literally just sitting there totally enraptured by what I was seeing. And I'm like, by the end of the week, by the time I saw Fire Conclave before the man burned, I just made the decision that I was going to do this, that I was going to learn how to spin fire and everything. And when I came back to Colorado, which is where I was from and where I lived at the time and everything, I started asking around to my friends, and it's just like, hey, you know that thing with the fire? How do we have any friends that know how to do that? Is there anybody that can teach me how to do that? And I was probably asking that question for like 2 or 3 months before somebody finally said, what, you mean poi? And I cannot overemphasize this. They literally could have said just about any word on the planet, and I would have said, yeah, that, because I didn't know what it was called. And, poi certainly sounded vaguely exotic, and like it could be the thing I was talking about. So, yeah, they said, yeah, we got a friend that spins poi, and he's willing to teach you and everything. And so I went and took a lesson from that friend. It was 2 hours long, trying to learn how to do real turns and failing miserably. Whenever I have students come in, I love telling them this story, because I'm like, my first lesson was an absolute unmitigated failure. I gave up after that point. I did, and the only thing that turned that around for me was that my roommate came back from Thailand. He'd spent the holidays in Thailand, and he'd gotten a set of poi from me at one of the street markets there and everything. And he like handed them off as a Christmas present to me. He's like, "Hey, you want to learn how to do this, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So that, because I felt bad about that, I started practicing, and thank God, right? So The short answer is a lot of random chances all stacked up in a row to make it possible for me to get into Poi and the flow arts, and I'm very thankful for that. Cool, great question. Foxy Roxy says, what is the name of the company that makes Anagram's fire safety blankets you talked about in another video previously? Anagrams. I don't know what you mean by anagrams in this, but the fire safety blankets I was talking about earlier are made by a company called Mayday ATL. Again, I'm a ginormous fan of these because they're machine washable. You can get your name custom embroidered on them. They have the reflective edge to them and everything. Literally in every way I can think of, they are superior to standard duvetines and fire blankets. And again, the only thing wrong with them is that they cost more than I think a lot of people could afford. But hey, it's the holidays, so maybe that's the thing to ask your folks for Christmas, right? So yeah, I'll stick a link down in the description to that company, but it is Mayday ATL, Mayday Atlanta. Yeah, we can get more people using these, I will be a very happy man, because they're a great product, and I like supporting people who come up with innovative ways to improve things in the community. Hugo Carrera says, hi from Argentina, Drex. Buenos dias. Is it morning there, I want to say? No, you're in the Western Hemisphere too. What am I saying? So it's pretty late for you too. Buenas noches. Yeah, keep those questions coming, everybody. I'm happy to keep on answering them. I'll be on here for, I think, another 20-30 minutes. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to know about, and what I can help you with on your own particular flow journey. It's been a very, very, very long time since I've done a live Q&A session like this, so I'd love to hear what you guys want to hear about. It's after midnight your time. Gotcha. Jesse Ratfield asks, what is your favorite pair of poi? So right now, these kind of experimental poi are the ones that I'm using the most and the ones that I'm probably enjoying spinning the most. So much of what I do right now is centered around dance, and you know, I have longer tethers on my contact poi, and I've just found that longer tethers really aren't that conducive to dance, that you know, shorter tethers are better for that. So these are an attempt to kind of thread a lot of different needles, in that they're LED contact poi and they're shorter, so I can use them for dance, and you know, the fatty flow cord and everything, which feels very comfortable to me. So right now, I would say that this is my favorite pair, but if you're asking what's the pair that I've used the most in the past few years, without a doubt, it is my contact poi from LanternSmith. In addition to the fact that the rope is just like holding on like a champ, I love the fact that when I want to change things up, I can take out these little inserts here and add or subtract weight to my heart's content. So I can make these contact poi weigh as much or as little as I want to, which is super awesome. It's very, very flexible. So yeah, these are probably overall my favorite from the past few years. Great question. Great question. Myrna Land says, good morning from Holland. Just woke up for Christmas breakfast at work. Awesome. I've never visited Holland. Foxy Roxy says anagrammed initials or name I meant to say. Not anagrammed, you meant to say monogrammed. Yes, this is a monogram here. Okay, now that totally makes sense to me. Cool, I'm all caught up. I'm all caught up now. But Myrna Land, good morning. I've never been to Holland. I would like to someday, though. Stefan Linden says, I need partner poi help. Well, step number one is to find a good and very patient partner. I cannot overemphasize how important your partner is in working on partner poi, because if you, like, on the best of days working with partner poi, you're going to have a lot of moments of frustration, And even if you have an amazing partner who is very, very patient and super cool and all that, and willing to work with you through everything, you're still going to have days when you're driving each other crazy, simply because it's hard to do and it requires the two of you to be very, very, very much in sync. So step one is to find a good partner. As for the rest of it, I actually have a whole bunch of PartnerPoi tutorials on my YouTube channel here. I would actually recommend going with the 1-minute PartnerPoi tutorials that I've done. I actually have an entire playlist of those. I think it's like 4 or 5 videos. Because it'll guide you through a lot of the basics, including PartnerPoi weaves and doing slides and pivots and things like that, and doing fold-outs. Those are kind of what I consider to be almost like the fundamentals of PartnerPoi in a lot of ways. So find yourself a good partner and then check out that tutorial series. I'm actually curious to hear from you guys too. So I've got that tutorial series, and then I've got a bunch of videos I did way back in the day with a woman named Morgan Howe, who is probably the person that I've explored the most PartnerPoi with. Certainly gotten the most in depth with and everything. Would you guys like to see me do a course on PartnerPoi on my learning site? Because I could definitely see an easy way to structure that and everything that would work inside of that format. One of the problems that I always run into on YouTube is that when you try and like create a structured learning environment for people, it's very, very difficult because you're never sure what video they're starting at, and getting them to get to the next video in a series can really be a challenge sometimes. So if there's any interest in a course on that one, please let me know, because I could definitely see a way to do that. So Stefan Linden, I hope that helps. Get a good partner and check out some of the tutorials I've got on the channel and everything. Jesse Ratfield, one wrong move can mess it all up. And I'm going to assume that you're talking about PartnerPoi, and I would completely agree. It is so very easy to make mistakes. And again, even if you've got the most patient partner in the world, you guys are still going to get on each other's nerves. So make sure you're working with a good partner. Stefan Linden says, water balance poi? I've used them once or twice. Nikki Evers, I think, was the one that got me playing around with them the first time. It was at Flame Festival many years ago. And it's a really great demonstration just of like how acceleration works with poi and everything. That for all intents and purposes, we're making our own gravity, and the way that we affect the momentum of the props and everything. It's kind of like turning physics on its head in some respects, and doing it with water. So water balance poi, for those of you guys that don't know, is that there's like a small bowl or a cup that you put water into, and you attach a leash to that cup, and you spin them just like you would poi. And the first thought that a lot of people have when they hear this is like, oh, you're going to get very, very wet, covered with water and everything. And you'd be surprised. Most poi tricks actually keep the acceleration on the poi so constant as they're spinning around that you can easily spin them and not spill any of the water. There are some things that get a little sketchy, like plane bending can sometimes slosh around things a bit, and stalls are the things you really got to watch out for. But yeah, no, it's a fun challenge. Jesse Ratfield says, what's next for you, Drex? What's your plan for this challenge in the upcoming year? Oh boy, let you in on all of my secrets, huh? No, so that's a great question, and it's a question that I have been thinking about in one way or another now for almost 3 months, since like the first week of September, really. I have some ideas. Like, I feel like there are certain things that have kind of plateaued on, and I'm one of these people that like constantly needs a new challenge. So I have some things I'm toying around with in my head, some new directions I can take things, and some projects that I feel like I haven't really completely finished up on and everything. and I know I'm not giving you a terribly specific or satisfying answer, but I think one of the big things that I needed to do these past 3 months was really ask myself why. Why am I making these videos? What is it that I'm hoping that they're going to achieve both in my life and other people's lives? And for most of September and October, I really didn't have a good answer to that. And now I'm feeling more like I've got an answer to that feels satisfying. And that answer is that I feel like my mission and the kind of things that I add to the world are that I help people who are like me, people who, you know, maybe haven't felt the most connected to their bodies, or, you know, want to do something creative in everything. I want to help those people be able to connect with their bodies and do so by creating something beautiful. And I think that with that in mind, I'm going to be kind of looking over my current kind of strategy for creating videos and everything, and seeing how much that I feel like that supports that mission. So some things are going to go and some new things are going to come, and the short answer is that I don't entirely know what that looks like just yet, but we will all find that out very, very soon. But it's a great question, Jesse. Let me ask you, what would you most like to see on this channel in the upcoming year? What are the things that you think I ought to keep? And what are the things that, that you think I ought to add or change? Aaron LeBlanc, holy crap, just saw this is live. Hi there. Yeah, it's been a long ass time since I've done a live session here. So welcome. I'm glad I caught you. And actually, I want to send that out as a question to everybody who's out there watching, which is, what are the things you love most about this channel, and what are the things that you would like to see improve or change here? What things am I already doing well that you want to make sure that I don't lose, and what things are there that I could be doing better or add to my channel that, you know, you think are necessary out there in the world? I'm really curious to hear these things. So yeah, leave all that down in the chat for me, please. Thanks. Sorry, I was starting to get a tickle in my throat. Stefan Linden wants more tutorials, please. Yes, there is going to be no shortage of tutorials coming. Daniel Popescu says more of you dancing. Sweet. I'm glad that that's a thing that you guys like to see, because it's a thing that I like to do. I can definitely do more dancing. Are you wanting to see more dance tutorials, like the videos I do where I teach combos, or more videos of me flowing and just experimenting? Aaron LeBlanc also says more dancing. Sweet. I'm really glad to hear that there are people out there that like that about my channel, because that was kind of a gamble for me. Jay Pickles says, randomly came across your channel a few weeks ago, and I would never otherwise have heard of Poi, let alone purchase a set of spin balls. Yay! Please keep up with your tutorials. They're the best, really. Cool. Thank you, Jay Pickle. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for continuing to tune in and watch these videos. And I'm really glad that they've added something to your life. Spinballs, awesome company. I know the guys who run it are good friends of mine, and very, very sweet people. And they've done things like spent the last few years teaching elementary school age kids how to spin poi and everything. They're awesome people, and I'm glad to hear that you're supporting them. And Daniel Popescu says both. Wants both more flow videos as well as those combo tutorials. Awesome, Daniel. I can do that for you. I can definitely do that for you. Yeah, I want to hear from more of you guys out there. What do you guys want to see on the channel in the coming year? Let me know. Inquiring minds want to know. And also, keep on sending me those questions. I'm going to be on here for probably another 10 minutes, I think. So yeah, give me those questions and tell me what you want to see on this channel in 2019. Help me help you, right? Jesse Ratfield. Honestly, I think you should vlog a little. I love this channel as there's a lot to teach and a lot we can teach you. I learned 5 years ago and I've been watching for 3. So I did start vlogging back in September or October. I was trying to do a vlog a week, and so terrible confession, and that is that since then I've probably done another half dozen vlogs that I haven't posted publicly, either because like I either thought that nobody was interested in what I wanted to talk about, like, because in my mind I'm like, I'm the tutorial guy, and nobody really cares if I have, you know, big thoughts about the relationship between the artist and their audience, or, you know, mental illness in the flow arts, or God, what are some of the other ones I did? Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff that I recorded, and I kind of had this moment of self-doubt where I'm just like, you know, people come to me for tutorials and flow and things like that. They don't want to hear me talk about these other topics and everything. So if that's not true, all of you guys out there, please let me know in the comments, because I'm still sitting on all those videos and I could easily publish them if there's a demand out there for them. I guess it's always just a little bit scary when you try something new, because you're kind of like, you know, is there an audience for this? Does anybody care? Or like, you know, you worry that you know, you're making yourself more important than you actually are. That, like, I think one of those things that happens a lot in the entertainment world that I really dislike is that people try and pass themselves off as experts on topics that they're not, and try and influence people in directions that they're not that terribly educated on. And I think that we all need to just like deal with a little bit of humility on that and everything, and realize that there are smart people out there that are working on big problems. But at the same time, there are definitely some issues that are near and dear to my heart that I do want to talk about. So yeah, if you want to hear about them, leave me a comment. Let me know. Cool. Oh wow, there's a lot of comments since I was on that little soapbox there. Stefan Linden, at the end of your tutorials, can you just show the tricks slowly from a lot of different angles? Yeah, totally. I can absolutely do that. Sure, yeah, 100%. Great idea. Foxy Roxy says, more flow videos and would love to see you with a set of twin hoops. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've got hoops that are the same size, so I could certainly do that. God, the grip thing with twin hoops just throws me for such a loop. I finally learned how to do the 3-beat weave with twin hoops like 2 years ago, and like just figuring out how to switch the grips on it and everything. It was like learning the 3-beat weave all over again. It was so crazy. But we'll see about that. That's an interesting suggestion. Aaron LeBlanc says, freestyle performances. Your vid for the passing of Dolores O'Riordan is what got me back into poi after 5-ish years off. Oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you, Aaron. I'm really proud of that video too. Like, I definitely, the idea for it like hit me really hard, and I knew what I was going to need to do to pull it off and everything. And like, that is the only time I've ever done a video on my channel that I've pulled off in like less than 24 hours, that just the pieces all came together and everything. And you know, the black and white with only the poi being in color was something that I thought was really beautiful and was really cool in context. So thank you. I'm so glad to hear that video touched you. Aaron LeBlanc also says, as for tutorials, maybe different viewpoints or angles of view. Yeah, it sounds like you and Stefan Linden are on the same track there, which, yeah, I can totally do that, 100%. Jay Pickle, one thing that works well on another channel I watch, have something interesting to watch in the background and then overlay whatever audio/topic you want to talk about. Yeah, so my approach for my vlogs was, you know, I would usually record them while I was doing something, like walking around my grandmother's farm, or there was a recreation of a Viking ship that docked here in DC, which was awesome. And I recorded a vlog both on the ship as well as off the ship. And, you know, I've done vlogs where I kind of just recorded myself practicing and spinning and everything to kind of cut back and forth between. So yeah, I can totally do that. Aaron LeBlanc, it's not true. Send them, man. Love all your work. You've been doing this far too long to have these doubts. Oh, Aaron, you can never do it too long to not have doubts. There's always going to be a thing that you doubt yourself on. But that is good. That is good feedback. Thank you, Aaron. J Pickle, e.g. Flovia in the background, talking about a hot button topic. Yeah, I can do that. Jesse Ratfield, you covered it. Sweet. Kirja Palo, or it might be Kiria Payo, I don't know. A wish. How to learn more advanced moves after weaves and other basics. What should I learn first? Isolations or something else? So I have a course on my learning site at learn.drexfactor.com called Beyond the Basics that, in my mind, going beyond the basics involves like getting beyond the point where it's about like getting your hand to make the poi spin and more about letting your hands go where they want to go and having the poi follow them and everything, developing freedom of movement. So the Beyond the Basics course is really about that, and isolations are one of several things that are covered in it. So I would recommend checking that out. Go to learn.drexfactor.com and check out my Beyond the Basics course. Daniel Popescu says, what kind of stuff is in the videos that you sell that isn't in the free videos on YouTube? The biggest thing is structure. Like, YouTube, on the one hand, is a great learning environment because it is easily accessible and free, of course, and there's a lot of eyeballs on it. But it's also a really bad learning environment because if you're trying to get somebody like from step A to B to C, then, you know, I was mentioning this before, you're kind of rolling the dice on what is the first video of yours that they're going to see, and they might like jump into the middle of a lesson rather than starting at where you like them to start and everything. And the kind of teacher that I am, I really like taking people on a journey. I like being able to build knowledge video after video, week after week, and help people build upon the kind of the basic level skills that they've got in themselves and see where to take that next and everything. The biggest thing you get out of the courses is you get the structured learning environment. I've tried it a few times on YouTube and it has just never quite worked out. So structured learning environment is a big one. Number two is that a lot of the courses have these like repeating animated GIFs of, you know, after you do the video and everything and you scroll down through the descriptions, there's an animated GIF of the trick that I'm demonstrating in that video, just repeating over and over again for you as long as you want to use it and everything. There are also other downloadable resources. I'm able to flesh out lessons a little bit more than I do on YouTube, simply because when I put together a YouTube video, I basically just have to assume that that's the only video anybody's ever, that a new visitor is going to watch from me. And so in terms of like if I'm making a video on isolations, then there's only a few specific things that I'm going to cover in the course of that video to make sure that I'm only giving that person what they're really looking for. And putting together a course means that I can go down some other kind of, you know, side roads and alleys and everything and show people it's like, okay, well, here's how to transition in and out of isolations. Here's some cool hybrids that you can do with them. Here are a bunch of different learning techniques for them, so on and so forth. So what you get out of those paid courses is structure and more in-depth knowledge and additional resources like the looped GIFs and downloadable sheets and things like that. Those are the biggest things that you get out of them. So I don't know if that's the best option for everybody, but I certainly hope that there are people out there for whom that is what they need. Because I like teaching that way. Yeah. Cool. I went way down that Kiryopio says, thanks a lot. You're welcome. J Pickle, quick thought. Would it be possible to make a flowchart, pun intended, on which moves can easily transition into others? I'm bad at being creative on the spot, but can follow directions super well. Yes-ish. So several years ago, my friend Charlie Cushing and I collaborated together on something called QFT. Charlie coined the name for it. And so it's kind of based around a lot of the ideas in his 9-square theory, but what it really was a written notation for poi that was purely a numerical format. If any of you guys are familiar with Laban movement analysis, we kind of discovered after the fact that we had just reinvented Laban movement notation, and instead of using the weird glyphs, we were instead using numbers. But there was a method to wanting to use numbers instead of the weird icons for movement in different directions. And that's that if we had this list of numbers that a move goes through and everything, then what we could do is we could create a database and we could cross-reference a certain series of numbers for the positions of hand and poi against those same positions in other moves, so we could see all the different moves that intersected on that particular moment. Really incredibly cool idea, but we quickly discovered that the amount of data involved in that was just more than we could possibly deal with. We got a little ways down that path, not as far as I wish we had, but that's the closest I think we've ever been. If you want like a smaller and more limited version of that, go check out some of the Vulcan Tech Gospel resources that were created by Noel Yee and the other Vulcan Tech Gospel people, because easy transitions are definitely a big part of what's covered in Vulcan Tech Gospel. My one problem with it is that it's just this very, very, very small sample set of moves that are available in poi, and we wanted to create something more universal. But as it turns out, when you're trying to create something more universal, it just becomes overwhelming. It's like trying to take a sip off of a fire hose. It's so much information. But there's a project that Charlie's working on right now that almost certainly is going to take some bits and pieces of that. So keep your eyes peeled in the coming year for announcements regarding that. Aaron LeBlanc, I'm sold, worth it. I'm buying your stuff. Yay! Thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you for supporting me and my work. And it also makes me really glad to hear that the courses are something that is going to be helpful to you. Cool. Sorry, a bunch of other comments just popped up here. And yes, so thank you, Aaron. Thank you so much. Jay Pickle says, database. Yes! Now you're speaking my language. Yeah, I wish we'd gotten deeper into it, man. I really do. But hey, if you go to my website, drexfactor.com, there's an old blog entry that is QFT explained, quantum field theory for poi explained, and I go through the notation system and everything. So you can very easily teach yourself the notation system, and once you got that under your belt, it doesn't probably take like maybe 30-40 minutes to get down. And once you get it, you can start building the database yourself and see what happens. So, Aaron LeBlanc, do you let people send you vid of them for critique and advice? Yes, I recorded myself for the first time ever and would love your opinions. Yeah, so I respond faster to written inquiries and specific questions than I do to people's videos, simply because it's kind of a commitment to sit down and watch something. But yes, I do that. Absolutely. And in those courses on learn.drexfactor.com, you can actually leave me comments and ask me questions there, and those I will answer very quickly, because very clearly you have done me a solid there, so I'm happy to pay that forward by prioritizing your comments there. Stefan Linden, I meant a flowchart is in, oh, you just learned 3, I think you meant to say 3 beats. Now you could learn. Short answer is yes. Yeah, I have a chart that I wrote up back in the day with a couple partner poi folks, Justin and Christina, back when they were still together. And that actually became the kind of structural guide behind. So Spinballs has a smartphone app that's full of poi tutorials made by myself. And that kind of learning tree was the basis of putting together those tutorials and the learning tracks on there and everything. And it didn't quite follow the learning tree exactly. It doesn't. It's not like I wanted it to be, where it's a choose your own adventure, and after you get done with one trick, it's like, okay, well, there are these 4 other tricks that are connected to that now. And it's more like, you know, here's 4 beginner videos, and here's a bunch of intermediate tutorials and everything. So short answer is it exists literally as a PowerPoint slide buried somewhere in my Google Docs. So I don't know how useful that is, but I can dig that out and throw it on Poi Chat and see what people think. Signal Dream says, "What's the rarest flow toy?" Huh. Oh, I'm going to come up with something snarky for that question. Not that it necessarily merits something snarky, but it's just getting to be that point in the night for me. The rarest flow toy. Humility. No. Rare. I'm trying to think of. Oh my God. Okay, so at Wildfire for a long, long time, there was a tradition of. There was this giant battle axe that they created that it took, like, it was a giant metal battle axe that was like packed inside with Kevlar, and it took almost a gallon of white gas to fuel this thing every time. And it was crazy watching people use it. Number one, because it was so damn heavy, and number two, because you'd think that, you know, it's packed full of Kevlar and there's a gallon of white gas in there, so it's going to be like all kinds of flames, and it would actually be very, very dim for about the first minute of the burn. And what would happen after that is that it would get so hot inside, because there's basically just like a bunch of holes in this metal axe that the flames allowed to escape through, that it would vaporize the white gas. So the white gas would be like jetting out through those holes after that first minute. And when that happened, it would make the difference between, you could like kind of see the flames coming out of it, to, oh my God, somebody is spinning a comet on a stick. And I've never seen another one like that. And thank God I've never seen another one like that. But I'll say that that's the rarest flow toy I've seen. Andre, what? Shinyak? I have no idea. I'm so sorry. It says hello. Hello, Andre. Thank you for joining us. J Pickle says to Aaron LeBlanc, that reminds me of a skateboarding channel I used to watch. They would take user submissions and the professionals would give advice on them on how to improve and upload it. Oh, that's an interesting idea. It's a really interesting idea. I'm going to put that in my back pocket for now. J Pickle also says, we'll look into QFT after this. Fantastic. Bubbly Bat says, so I know that you're not as interested in performing as much anymore, but I'm curious if workshops fall under that. Maybe you've already answered this question, but I'm afraid I have not seen it yet. So it's not that I'm not interested in performance, as my interests in performance have shifted a lot. Like, the idea of doing performance as just showing off the hardest tricks that I can do in 5 minutes to J random song that I like, that I'm no longer interested in doing. I've done that, and it's boring to me now. And what I really love right now is dance and theater, and trying to bring those into the prop spinning world. And I have a piece that I've been working with a close friend with. It's a modern dance poi fusion piece that we really want to do video of, and probably that'll happen sometime in the new year and everything. So I'm not anti-performance by any means. The thing that I get out of performance shifted, and it shifted in such a way that it's a lot harder to produce work now, and it takes a lot longer to do it. But it's still there. It just, you know, it's more difficult to bring it to eyeballs at this point, unfortunately. As far as workshops go, I did teach workshops in a few cities over the course of the past year, and I think I want to do more of that in the coming year. You know, I'm probably going to apply to a couple flow festivals and everything, but I don't think I'm going to tour extensively with them. I much prefer the environment that I get with people when I'm running the workshops, because you know, people are there, the only reason they're there is to learn, and to learn what I want to teach them and what they want to learn and everything. And it's not like you're competing with a bunch of other workshops, or, you know, people who are, you know, strung out from having been up all night spinning fire or anything like that. People are a lot more focused. It's just a better environment for everybody. So that's kind of the place that I feel more comfortable teaching right now, which is not to say that I won't go to any fire festivals in 2019. But yeah, I have no objections to workshops. It's just it becomes more difficult when you're hosting them all yourself. Same thing as goes into the performance side of things, is just you know, my interest kind of shifted, and now the barrier to entry is a bit higher. So I don't get to do it as often, which I will be the first to admit is kind of a shame. Noriko Avalon says, what advice do you have for elderly people and disabled people who want to learn poi? That's a great question. My first piece of advice would actually be to go track down the work of Kate Regal Van West. She is doing a study in New Zealand right now using poi spinning as a form of dance therapy for elderly people, and she's had some really interesting results. So I would start there. Go check out the resources that she's put online through, I think it's called Spinpoi. You can find her on Patreon as well as on Facebook, and she has a manual now that's available for download, which is great. J Pickle, have you used Veilpoi or Flagpoi before? Yes. Do they limit your range of possible moves? Yes, a lot. Both because of the weight, as well as they just become so easy to tangle and everything. But that's not the end of the world. Like, you get the same problem with programmable LED poi. And the key is, you know, having limitations is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it forces you to make really creative choices to work around them and everything. So I've used them, and there are some tasks for which I think they're very, very well suited, and other tasks for which I don't think they're terribly well suited. There's this old maxim that a poor craftsperson will always blame their tools. And I think there's some truth to that. The challenge when you like set down with a set of tools and everything is to find out what you can pull out of that. What is the most beautiful thing you can create with those tools? And you know, a lot of people get hung up on what's the right set of poi, and the answer is it's whatever set of poi inspires you to create, you know? And there are certainly a lot of great possibilities out there for both flag and veil poi. So I would actually urge you to pick them up and play around with them and see what you can create with them. It's going to be a different vocabulary of tricks than you're used to, but that doesn't mean that it can't be something that's beautiful and fun for you, you know? Bubbly Bats, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing the new routine. Yes, I look forward to showing you guys. And Noriko Avalon says, thanks. And at this point, I am about 10 minutes past where I intended to go in terms of taking questions and everything. So I'm going to call it a night. I want to thank you guys all so much for your questions this evening and for tuning in. And I'm going to hopefully do live chats much more frequently in the new year. But for right now, thank you all so much. Have yourself a great night and happy holidays. And I will be seeing you again soon, yeah? Peace out. I love you all. And to those of before I jump off, of course, you know, just a quick thank you for all of my wonderful supporters on Patreon, because they're literally the people that keep my channel alive. That is how I pay rent. That is how I feed myself. That's how I pay my cell phone bill. And without them, I would not be able to produce this content for you guys. So thank you so much to all of my supporters on Patreon, as well as all the friends of the channel. Dark Monk, Flow Toys, LMF Props, Spinballs, and Ultrapoi for helping to make all of my videos possible and everything. And thank you all once again for tuning in. And oh, one more thing. If you do end up doing any workshops in Las Vegas, definitely let us know whether they are something you created or something you are invited to. It would be an honor to learn from you in person. I can almost guarantee that they're going to be something that I create. So, but I will let you guys know when and if that happens. So, cool. Thank you guys so much, and have a good night, and keep on rocking. Peace.